Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Saturday, December the 18th, 2021, 1 week before Christmas. And we are going to discuss a really solid 6-game main slate that begins tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. And I am joined like I am on every Saturday for my favorite podcast of the week, my partner here, Mr. Josh Crash Davis. And we're going to not only break these games down for you, but we're going to do our weekly Two Brains Are Better Than One Fanduel GPP build. How are you today, Crash? And are you ready for Christmas?
I'm ready for Christmas. Yeah, I'm doing well. The Bucks couldn't pull it out for me last night. That was a fun game to watch, but just came up a little bit short. Drew Holiday had a heck of a game going back to New Orleans, though, that's for sure.
He did. Did you see he took 36 shots?
Yeah, I did.
Talk about having to have to ice his whole shoulder and arm with 36 shots going up.
Yeah, no, he's still young. He can do it. So
yeah, absolutely. It was a fun night last night, though. Definitely had some good sweat toward the end. Dame time showed up for us and got us over the finish line. We've had a couple of monster nights on Draftkings. That's been fun. And then just, staying on that cash line on Fanduel and Yahoo as well.
Right. Yeah. We've really been on a little bit of a heater here lately and hope to keep that going, and going to share with our members here in a little while, why and how that's been working for us with the situation, with all the news and everything. So,
yeah. And that'll be a big theme of what we discussed today is, obviously, with the COVID world that we're in right now, and this new Omicron virus that's going as a offshoot of COVID-19, and it's that strain seems to be hitting a lot of people, and it's obviously having an effect on pro sports. But in the NBA, so far, we haven't lost too many games. Hopefully, that can continue. But it's going to take a longer time for this podcast just to read all the guys that are out. It's crazy.
I know. It's crazy.
But, the cool thing is, and, as Josh just alluded to there, we're just excited, before we get diving into these 6 games, I just want to mention, this is right in our sweet spot. I mean, because when you have situations that are a little bit off the wall, a little bit unexpected, like a lot of guys sitting out because of this virus and just several other things that have taken place that create a lot of different lineups and different situations, because we do what we do here, which is we use all of the analytics, all the crunchers, all the stuff to put together our plays, but then we hand build our lineups. And that's where we can put in our knowledge of G League players, other combinations of players coming in, who can play what position, who are they looking at? So there's so many unmeasurable things that we can put into building our lineups. And that's what we see making our difference. So for me, I know it gets crazy, all the changes, all the people sitting and everything, but as each thing changes, our edge increases. And, you can't throw this half G League team, for example, from the Nets today, and the Magic, and come out with something in an optimizer that makes sense, because it just crunches numbers that you can't really crunch. So, and on top of that, I don't know that many of our members that play 150 max lineups. I mean, if you really are into this and you really got a huge bankroll, yes. But we're trying to appeal to the niche space in this industry of everybody that wants to build 1 or 2 lineups, play their 20, 50 or $100 or whatever, and build a bankroll. And that's what we've done the last year and a half. And these type of situations is where we thrive. So if you ever want to try us out, our 12-day of Christmas, $12 for 12 days. We're going to offer that from now until midnight on Christmas Day. And you jump in $12, you got almost a full 2 weeks of all of our NBA, all of our NFL. And again, with all of the changes, I think you're going to find it to be extremely helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, definitely excited about the next couple of days for sure, with all the news, the way it's been going. And if it continues, we'll just continue to thrive on that. So
we'll take it as long as the games don't get canceled. I
well,
want to walk that line. Let's get all the
yeah,
news and changes, but still play the game. So
yeah.
that's what we have to really cross our fingers and hope for. But anyway, there's an early game we're not going to go over, but we have 6 solid main slate games that start at 7 p.m. Those are the ones we're going to break down here. We'll go through pretty much everything that we normally do, talk about the game, some statistics, a couple of different aspects of what we're looking at, and then we'll build from there. If you're watching right now on YouTube, quick thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Please give us a quick comment, a quick question, whatever it is. That really helps us to move up the algorithm. And we keep all of these podcasts in front of the paywall. NBA 7 days a week, NFL 3 days a week. Also, hit the little alarm or alert button in the top corner if you haven't already. That lets you know exactly when any of our podcasts post. This way you don't miss any of them. And also, we've got just a couple of weeks left here in our monthly giveaway, which is for a 3-day membership. That's for our audio podcast listeners on Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, iHeart, wherever podcasts land, we are there. Just take a second, give us a 5 stars, and give us a quick review, and then we're good to go. So, we got some dog accompaniment here. Wonderful. So that is it. Are you ready to dive into this slate?
Yeah, for sure. Let's go.
All right, let's do this. All right, the very first game on the slate, it is a 7 p.m. game. It's the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. Somewhat of a boring game, fairly low over-under, but you're going to see on this slate, we've got a bunch of low ones and one good one that everybody's going to be stacking up, but that's something different. So we've got Boston minus 4.5, 210.5 is the total, 103 implied for the Knicks, 107.5 for Boston. Knicks come into the game 12-16, Boston at an even 500 at 14-14. We have Derrick Rose listed as questionable. And then here's the guys that are out: Barrett, Grimes, Knox, Quickly, and Toppin. For Boston, we've got 2 questionable players, Schroeder and Langford. And then guys that are out: Hauser, Hernangomez, Horford, Parker, and Williams. So really interesting to see all of these guys that are in, out, and all over the place. Right now, guesstimating, and we'll do this today because we got 6 games, and because of all the changes, we want to give everybody a chance to put in a holder lineup that's sensible, because you never know what's going to happen. It's always good not to just throw guys in there, but get a holder lineup that makes some sense. So if they play and if things flush out the way it looks as now, it may be Rose, Burks, Fournier, Randall, and Noel starting for the Knicks. If Schroeder plays, it'd be Schroeder, Smart, Brown, Tatum, and Williams for Boston. As far as the pace in this game, Josh, not good. Knicks 23rd, Boston 28th. So the reason why this game stinks in that sense. Defensively, Knicks 19th, Boston 11th. So pretty decent D, average D, slow game, a lot of guys out. What do you think about game 1?
Yeah, we're going to have to see what happens with Schroeder. Definitely like Marcus Smart, if Schroeder's out for sure. And then on the other side, with Quickly out, I don't know a lot about this guy. Maybe not a lot of guys know a lot about this guy, but Miles McBride, 3,900 on DraftKings. Yeah, we had 40 DraftKings points against Houston his last game out. So What do you think about him? Have you seen him play very much? Has he shown anything?
Yeah, I mean, he's got some offensive game. I think he's decent. If he gets minutes, I think it's reasonable. There's one thing that I'll say as we start this. There's so much value that you can't. It's crazy. I think I'll probably leave $500 to $800 on the board today, which I never do. But when I was building my initial lineups, some of the best plays are value plays, and you don't want to just buy up to buy up. So, as he's a decent player, Mcbride, but I don't know if you really need to go there because of it's not normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing as you're finished building this too, and this is important because 7 of the 12 teams today are on the first or second night of a back-to-back. And that makes a huge difference as we're dealing in this COVID world,
right?
On top of everything else. Knicks are on an island game, so that helps. Boston's second night of a back-to-back, Josh. And here are the minutes of the top 4 minutes played for Boston, because I think this comes into play. Tatum, 41, Robert Williams, 36, which is way more than he usually plays. Smart, 35, and Brown, 33. Does that change your thinking on Boston at all?
Yeah, it does a little bit. I was also looking at Josh Richardson, 3,300 on DraftKings, with Romeo Langford having a neck injury last night. He left the game early. He could be in a position to possibly start if Shooter's out. And then I was looking at Tatum, but I don't know if I'm going to go there or not. He's 9,800 on DraftKings. On Fanduel, Julius Randle's 8,800. So I kind of like him over on Fanduel, especially as you mentioned with Horford and Williams out. It's going to be hard for Boston to slow him down, I think, in the paint, as long as he doesn't just sit out there and shoot a bunch of threes. So I think
Grant Williams is out. Robert Williams is in.
Oh, okay. I thought Robert Williams
was out. Just to make that clear, yeah, I said Williams, but it's Grant. Robert is going to play. So, the question is, can he get those kind of minutes in back-to-backs? I don't think he's done that in his career.
Yeah. So Randle would be in consideration. Boston's 21st against power forwards, so I do think Randle would be in consideration. And then, do you think Ennis Freedom will get any minutes?
I think he probably will for sure. I mean, he'll back up center for Williams, or unless they go small, which they will at times. If they put a guy like Richardson in and just bump Tatum down to the 5, I know it sounds crazy, but there are times they go small ball like that.
Yeah.
And
so that's about what.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that's about what I have for this game.
Yeah, and if they do that, I think the Knicks will go small and just play Randle at the 5. But for me in this game, Derrick Rose, if he plays at 7-2, is a decent play. If he sits, then I really like Alec Burks at 7-7 because I think that a bunch of that usage is going to go to him. Not interested in Fournier. He's just so inconsistent. Julius Randle, though, it's tempting. He's 10-1. Boston's soft in the paint right now with all their bigs out. Even if Ennis Freedom gets minutes, he's a terrible defender. Williams, he's okay, but has a tendency to get in foul trouble. So I really think Randle's the target here, in my opinion. I'd like to try to get there. 10-1's a little bit rough on DraftKings, but like you said, he's a little bit cheaper on FanDuel and reasonable on Yahoo. So Randle, the target. Burks, very interesting. Boston, again, we just need to see some of those guys, if they're in or out, how that's all going to fly. I'm not going to really be super concerned with all the minutes that everybody played yesterday because they're off tomorrow. Tatum at 41, though, that is a lot of minutes. So not sure that's the best place to go. And again, Williams at 36, I don't know if he can play mid-30s minutes 2 games in a row and be effective. So maybe the smarter play would be like a Smart at 5-6, or a Josh Richardson, like you said, at 3-3. But we need to get the rest of that report to know for sure.
Yeah. And I looked at Burks at first, but I was thinking that Marcus Smart would probably be on him. Do you not think that he will?
If Rose plays, I think Smart goes on Rose. And that's the whole point is if Rose, if he's in or out, is going to have something to do with, who defends who.
Yeah.
All right. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
Okay. We've got 2 7:30 games. The first one is the Orlando Magic and the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn's favored by 1.5. I don't know how you can even set a line in this game. It's 105.25 implied for Orlando, 106.75 for Brooklyn. So it's only a 212 total, with Brooklyn being a slight favorite. But you may want to go get a sandwich and a cup of coffee here. By the time I finish this, you should be almost done. So are you ready for this one? This is the biggest I've seen in whatever 8 years of doing DFS. But here we go. Cole Anthony, questionable. Wendell Carter Jr., doubtful. I've already got him listed as out. He looked like he got hurt pretty good. Bamba out. I'm just not going to say out a million times, but all these guys are out. Bamba, Brazdeikis, MCW, Fultz, Hampton, Isaac, Moore, Ross, Suggs, and Mo Wagner. So, wow. And then it's even a longer list for Brooklyn. David Duke is probable. Nicholas Claxton is questionable. So we need that news. Those two are important. All these guys are out. Aldridge, Bembry, Brown, Carter, Durant, Harden, Harris, Irving, Johnson, Mills, and Millsap. Is that the craziest thing you've ever heard?
That is insane.
Then how about adding this to the mix? Orlando's on the second night of a back-to-back. Brooklyn's on the first night of a back-to-back. So you got 92 million things against these two teams. But there are some diamonds in the rough here, buddy. I promise you. As far as probable starting lineups right now, if Cole Anthony plays, of course, he'll be chalk. Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, who's going to be chalky, and my buddy Chuma Okeke. And I tell you what, Robin Lopez could be chalky. On the Brooklyn side, it's looking like it may be Duke if he goes, Cam Thomas, Kessler Edwards, Blake Griffin, and if Nicholas Claxton can go. So we're going to get some other 10-day contracts and G League guys that sift into the mix here. But it's pretty wild. And again, Orlando last night, they played, and their top minutes guys were Okeke, 39. He was my hero on my big win last night. Franz Wagner, 36. Harris, 36. And Rolo played 33 minutes. He hasn't done that in a while. Statistically speaking, and then I'll pass it over to you. Pace-wise, Orlando right in the middle of the pack, 15th. Good pace-up game for them. Brooklyn is third. I don't know if any of these numbers even count with none of the players playing, but it is what it is. Orlando, the second worst defensive team in the league, 29th. Brooklyn all the way up to 6th, which is amazing. So there we go, man. I know you got this one figured out to a T.
Right. Yeah, this is our value game here for sure. You know, it's really hard to know where to go, but you know, as you mentioned, Cole Anthony, if he plays, probably going to be one of the chalkier plays on the slate. He's the only point guard on FanDuel that wasn't listed as out in this game. It's just crazy.
That's nuts.
So yeah, DraftKings has a few more of those other G League type guys on there, but they're not on FanDuel, so he's the only one. So Franz Wagner, you know, as you mentioned, he's 6,700 on DraftKings. He's in play. David Duke, if he plays, had a nice game the other night. He's in play here. Gary Harris is probably going to be pretty chalky, I would think, at 4,300. Okeke, he had a huge night last night, as you mentioned. He did get 6 steals in that game, so that's, you know, a little bit inflated. But, I mean, at 4,800, he's going to hit value pretty easily, you know, if he does anything close to what he did last night, even without those steals. And then with Bamba out and Carter doubtful, you could look at Griffin and Claxton, I think. I think those guys are both in play. And then, as you mentioned, Robin Lopez at 3,300, you know, he's going to be in play too. So quite a bit of value here that you could choose from. It's just picking the right guys.
No doubt. I'm telling you, salary, this is going to be almost like a preseason game where salary doesn't almost matter. I mean, it can, but there's just so many great plays that are low priced. So for me, you know, I think Franz Wagner, if Anthony plays, then I'm going to Anthony. You know, I'm a big Anthony guy anyway.
Right.
But if he sits, then we're talking some serious usage through the roof stuff for Franz Wagner, Chuma Okeke. Those two guys would be in most of my lineups. Robin Lopez is very tempting at 3-3. If he gets mid-30s minutes again, that little dopey half hook shot he has and hitting the glass, I mean, I think he's very playable. And, you know, again, you don't have to go down to these crazy shots like Admiral Schofield, the ex-Celtic that signed 10-day with Orlando. You really don't have to go down to those guys because there's so much value. But, you know, so really for me anyway, you know, Anthony, Wagner, Okeke, and Lopez are all, you know, good targets. On the Brooklyn side, I think David Duke's got a great game. If he can go and he's healthy, he's tough. Cam Thomas, he was in their rotation before any of this started happening. He's good. Real impressed with Kessler Edwards. I had not seen him a whole lot coming into this season, but have gotten to see him in different stints with Brooklyn here in the last couple of weeks. And I'm pretty impressed. Solid enough. Griffin, if he's going to get monster minutes, you got to consider it 5-2. If Claxton's healthy, that's the question, if he can go or not. I think it's a knee with him, if I'm not mistaken. He's only 4-4. He can certainly get you some stocks, no doubt about that. You know, but I want to make sure he's not going to tweak or be limited on minutes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, game 3, not the other 7:30 game, Golden State Warriors, Toronto Raptors. Toronto's favored by 8.5. It's a 210.5 total. 101 implied for Golden State, 109.5 for the Toronto Raptors. It is the second night of a back-to-back for Golden State, so we'll discuss that. And Toronto is on an island game. Golden State comes in at a very impressive 23-5. Toronto is now a couple of games under 500 at 13-15. Guys that have already been ruled out, there's no questionables on Golden State. They've given us everything right now. You may have heard of some of these guys: Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Iguodala, Poole, Porter, Klay Thompson, Wiggins, and Wiseman.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Toronto, we've got a tag on Goran Dragic. They've dusted him off, pulled him off the shelf. He is probably going to play. Questionable tags here that are going to make things very frustrating and trying to put lineups together. Achua and Anunoby are questionable. And so those are huge. Johnson is also questionable. Khem Birch, doubtful. So that really creates a little bit of confusion, and we're trying to build here. We're going to have to get that information. We really are. And 7:30, we should get the majority of it. So statistically speaking, again, Golden State on the second night of a back-to-back. Wiggins, Curry, and Draymond all had big minutes. None of them are playing today. So that makes that pretty easy. Golden State is 14th in pace, Toronto 22nd. So that's not the best. But as far as defense, that's going to be a tough one here too. Golden State's the best, Toronto 15th. So middle of the pack, but you do have other players that are motoring in there. Probable starting lineups here, really weird, man. Peyton, Moody, Lee, Toscano Anderson, and Looney. And that's just, you know, a guess right now. You have Bielitsa and other guys involved there. Then the other side, though, Toronto looks like the team that has most of their stuff together here. They have a probable lineup, which is their regular lineup: Van Vliet, Trent, Barnes, Siakam, and Achua, with Boucher, Watanabe, and those guys off the bench. So we'll see if any of those guys get ruled out. There were a few questionable tags, obviously, and we'll see. I don't think Anunoby plays personally, but we'll go from there. So what do you think about this one?
The first guy I was looking at was Damien Lee at only 3,600. I think that he's a good play. I'm going to fade the guys like Chris Chiozza and Gary Payton II, those kind of guys. Toronto's allowed the third fewest fantasy points to point guards, so not looking to go there. Toscano Anderson at 3,200 with Draymond out, and Otto Porter Jr. both out. I think that he's in play for me. And, we've talked a little bit about Looney lately. He's been playing pretty well. He's only 3,500. I feel like that's a decent price, value play there. And then on Toronto, I was looking at primarily Pascal Siakam. With Draymond out, I think that this is a good spot for him. And he's scored 46.5 DraftKings points against the Warriors in his last 3 times he's played them anyway. So especially with Draymond out, I think that he's kind of in a smash spot here.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I mean, for me, it seems weird, but like with the Raptors, I'm not going to play any Raptors unless something changes. And it's weird because they have good guys that can score decent fantasy points. But I know that some of the defenders are out for Golden State, but some of their good defenders are in there. Peyton is a great defender. Toscano Anderson defends well. Looney defends well. So I think from a pace and defense standpoint, they're still going to be strong. And Toronto isn't missing that many people as of yet. And if, that usage doesn't start going up on guys when Van Vliet and Trent and Barnes, Siakam, they're all going to get theirs. So I'm actually looking more on the Golden State side at Gary Payton II. He seems to really take advantage of minutes on the floor. His points per minute are solid for a guard. I think Toscano Anderson's very interesting too. He's another guy that is a little riskier, maybe more of a GPP play, but he can grab double digits rebounds and score double digits points. There's no question about it. So not my favorite game on the board, but I probably will have some exposure.
Right.
All right, man. We've got 3 games left. An 8 o'clock, a 9 o'clock, and 2 9 o'clock. So that's cool. All right, 8 o'clock game. LA Clippers, Oklahoma City Thunder. Clippers by 5.5. 208.5 total. 107 implied for the Clippers. 101.5 for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Clippers come in at 16-13. Thunder come in at 8-19. The injury tags here: Paul George and Nick Batum, both questionable. So George has been listed questionable an awful lot lately. Hasn't been playing recently, but maybe he comes back here. I'm not sure. And then Ibaka, Leonard, and Preston are out. The Thunder is hardly affected here. You've got an important one with Lou Dort as questionable, but that's the only guy listed on their injury report. So these teenage kids here from the Thunder know how to stay healthy, I guess, is the best way to look at it. But as far as this game goes, they're both on an island game to boot.
Yeah.
So you've got nothing to stress you about that. Clippers are 5th in pace and the Thunder 10th. So combining the two pace of each team, this game is going to play at the fastest pace. And it's only a 208.5 total, which is, the Thunder games have been low, but, that's very interesting. Clippers are 4th in defense, very respectable. Thunder all the way down to 21st. And you're not going to have much different of lineups projected here with very few guys out. Right now, they're still saying Dort could play a little bit more than sit. So Jackson, George, Morris, Batum, and Zubats against Gilgeous Alexander, Dort, Giddey, Baisley, and Favors. So it could be pretty much the regulars, especially if George and Dort suited up.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot here that I was actually on. I do like SGA 8,900 on DraftKings. The Clippers haven't been as strong against point guards without Patrick Beverley. He's one of the few decent pay-up options at the position. And then on this slate, and then your guy Marcus Morris 5,700 on DraftKings. I like him. And then we got a lock and load Terrence Mann, right?
Don't even start with Terrence Mann. He killed us the other day. I don't even know who Terrence. He is not a man. No,
he's no longer in the NBA. Yeah.
Yeah. He is not on my list. Man or Kennard. They're both dead to me, Josh. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had to bring that up. But
thanks. Appreciate
it. But we've turned it around since then. So
we have. They bounced us into a fury. I had the guy with the red, his head exploding there with those two guys, but they sparked us.
Yep. So so SGA and Marcus Morris for me in this game. If Paul George plays and Lou Dort plays, then I think George will probably see Dort defense. So I didn't want to necessarily go there.
I'm with you, man. I mean, those are the two most important guys in this game to me, George and Dort. So they're both questionable. So you can't really break this game down because if George plays and Dort doesn't, then George is a lock and load for me. And, if Dort plays, there's a possibility there. We just need to see what the word is on those two. I'm with you, though. There's just not many pay-up point guards that are good. So SGA seems like a very solid play here at 8-9. Giddey at 7-1, possibly. I mean, we know that he can spread out his stats and do pretty well across the board. He really is a triple-double possibility at in any game. Jackson a little high. George, if he plays, yes. Morris, I play him just about more than anybody, which is weird. But 5-7, his price never seems to go that high, and he gets there. I mean, he doesn't go 10x or anything, but you want a guy at a fairly low price. 5-7's low enough that can get you 7.5x, then you just plug and go. But that's really about it for me. I think this game has a few key players, but nothing I'm jumping out of my seat for.
Yeah.
All right, 2 games left. They're both 9:00 games. One of them is the Cleveland Cavaliers and your Milwaukee Bucks. It is Cleveland favored here on the road in Milwaukee. Is that like the worst thing you could ever imagine, Josh?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. This is what's left of my Milwaukee Bucks here. So, yeah.
It's incredible, though. I mean, if you would have seen this game on the schedule before the year and had no idea what was going to happen, you'd say this is Milwaukee by 15,
Right.
But it's Cleveland minus 1.5, 214.5 total, 108 implied for Cleveland, 106.5 for the Milwaukee Bucks. Cleveland comes in at 18-12. Amazing. Milwaukee 19-11. Injuries. Mobley is questionable. So big news there. Okoro out. For Milwaukee, we have Thanasis actually questionable, which would mix up some of the rotation there. Middleton is questionable. So obviously that's very important news. Giannis, DiVincenzo, Lopez, Matthews, Ojale, Portis, all out. We do know last night Nawara played 42 minutes, Connaughton 41, and my man Drew Holiday, who was the MVP of the big win last night for us, 44 minutes. So Milwaukee better than anyone. Do you think those minutes affect things in this situation, or are we expecting big results here? Cleveland's on the first night, Milwaukee on the second night.
Well, Nawara is just, he's young, so I'm not too concerned about him. And at 3,600, we're not going to need him to have 40 points or anything like that. So that value's there for him. Drew Holiday coming off a career game, but he's 8,200 on DraftKings. I still think that's playable. 9,300 on Fanduel, probably not going to go there. That's a little bit much for me. And then, the value play here was Sandro, 3,200, with Portis out. It's a lock and load for me on DraftKings, I think. And then on Cleveland, Lauri Markkanen, I don't know how many people are going to play him tonight. Probably not that many, but he had 20 points and 7 rebounds against us on December 6th. So he's a name that I'm keeping an eye on a little bit.
Okay.
Kevin Love has had a little bit of a resurrection lately. He's been very efficient. He scored 15 points in only 18 minutes on that game on December 6th, and he did something similar to that last night in only 15 minutes. So he's been very efficient.
Yeah.
And if Mobley's out, you could see some more minutes for him. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on. And if Mobley plays, Herb Jones and Joel Bell both had a nice game last night against Milwaukee with Giannis and Portis out of there. So, the bigs are going to be in play. Jared Allen too, but he's a little bit more pricey. So I'm leaning more towards Mobley for Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, the tough part about this game is, you've got a fairly low total and you have the best combination of defense on the slate. That's the tough part. Cleveland's third in the league in defense, Milwaukee ninth. So that's definitely a deterrent. And they're both slightly below average in pace, 16th and 17th. So not a game I'm going to race to. But, the thing with Cleveland is, especially if Mobley plays, you're back to that scenario, like we talked about with Toronto, when most of your guys are playing right now, and that usage still gets spread out, like Garland and Markkanen, Mobley, Allen. I mean, those guys are going to all get theirs. And, it's almost like you want to take advantage of the guys that are going to have the most increased usage because of people out. So we'll see how this rolls. Rubio at 5.2, Garland at 8.3 is a lot, but Garland can always get there. You made a good point on Markkanen. Allen is now a 1.4 more than Mobley. So it puts a little hesitation there. But I'll tell you this, I don't think Sandro and DeMarcus Cousins can defend Jared Allen in the paint at all. So if this game stays close, Jared Allen could be the best play on the board. And we don't even know if Mobley's going to play. And if he does, if he's limited at all, I mean, this is the kind of game where I could see Jared Allen 16 rebounds, double-double, that kind of thing. So he right now is my center of choice if I had to push that button. I don't know if I have the guts to go right back to Drew Holiday after him winning it last night for me and taking 36 shots. So can he repeat that is the big question. I guess if Middleton sits, you almost have to, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I would think. I mean, you don't have a ton of scoring around him. So yeah.
So probably, let's see what that shakes out to be, but certainly a couple of very, very key plays in this game. I think they can shift the slate. All right, brother. Game 6 of the main slate. This is the end of the road, 9:00 game. So no super late like last night. I think it was 1:00 in the morning when I was posting stuff. And I think I started at 6:10 in the morning. So when you start getting close to where it's like a 20-hour straight DFS basketball. That gets a little tiring for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, here's the big game that will be the stackable game, I think, for a lot of people just because the numbers. But I'm going to say don't go there too quickly because here's the deal. It's Utah double-digit favorite. They're -11. Washington has definitely hit the skids. Statistically speaking, especially, they're just going in reverse. So they're 11-point dog, but you have by far the highest total on the board at 222. But we know Utah plays decent defense, but Washington, their games have just been going high. They've been scoring a lot of points. Washington implied 105.5. Utah, by far the biggest number at 116.5. Washington comes in at 15-14. So, that huge fast start, they were like 10-3 or something crazy. Has definitely slowed down, but they're still above 500. Utah, very solid 20-7. And really, this game is somewhat unaffected other than one major guy. I mean, you've got Bryant and Hashimura out for Washington. They've been out forever. So no change in the Washington rotation. And then, everybody needs to wait and see what the Donovan Mitchell news is. He's questionable. If Mitchell plays, then it's regular rotation for them. If he doesn't, then we're talking major upgrade to some of their guys. So that's what we need to see. Utah's also, on top of everything else, on the second night of a back-to-back. So they did, Snyder, as usual, does a great job dispensing the minutes amongst his players. He didn't kill any of his guys. There's no 40 or 38-minute guys here. The two guys that led them in minutes yesterday were Gobert, 32, and Conley, 31. Now, Conley is a guy that will often sit one night of a back-to-back, so keep an eye out for that news. Let's just say a scenario here where Conley and Mitchell sit. Now you've got some serious plays here in Clarkson, Bogdanovich, Gobert. I mean, those guys are big-time plays. But if they both play, for example, then I'm not really that interested. So that's something we want to look at there as well. As far as pace goes, here's the problem. That's why it's so weird that this is the highest game on the slate. They're 21st and 20th in pace. That doesn't sound like great high scoring game to me. Washington 22nd in defense. Do you remember when they were 7th?
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago. And then Utah is remained up there. They're in 5th. So probable starting lineups right now: Dinwiddie, Beal, Caldwell, Pope, Kuzma, Gafford. So everything normal there with Harrell and those guys off the bench. And if Conley and Mitchell are in, which is not decided, it'd be their regular deal: Conley, Mitchell, Bogdanovich, O'Neal, Gobert, with Clarkson, Ingles, Gay, and Whiteside off the bench. So, I don't know. The jury is completely out on this game. I don't think I've ever disliked a game more that was the highest total on the board.
Yeah, the only play I have here, most likely, if Mitchell's out, is going to be Rudy Gobert, just because you mentioned Jared Allen earlier, but he's only $100 more. So for a guy that has smash potential, Washington's allowed the third most fantasy points to centers. So that kind of stood out to me. But that's really it for me. So, and if Mitchell does play, then he's still going to have to deal with Bradley Beal's defense. So,
yeah, this
where I
is
stand on this one.
Yeah. Are you in the Beal defensive corner? You think he's a good defender?
At times, I think he can be.
Because I'm defensive real plus minus on him is not great. So I know he hustles and gets after it. And he has improved. I mean, he's not all offense like, in the past years, he just really busted it on offense. And we used to play him all the time because, he doesn't get those 60, 70-point games anymore. It's a different system. And, they're not trying to just outscore everybody like, Scott Brooks' ridiculous, strategy was. But you're right. He's improving defensive real plus minus, but I still wouldn't put him in the bucket of guys I think are shut down types.
Yeah.
So
he's not Lou Dort. I'm not saying that.
No Lou Dort. No Davion Mitchell, right?
No Davion Mitchell. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how this game plays out. I think a lot of people are going to see that total and the fact that it's 6 points or whatever higher than any other total on the board. And they're going to try to force some guys in there. But I'm not so sure that's the best play. But a lot of that will have to do if Donovan plays or not. Right.
And like you mentioned, if Conley and Mitchell are out, then Clarkson would definitely be in play here.
Yeah. He's been subdued this year, though. He had some of those monster games last year. He's not doing that very often this year. It's very strange.
Yeah.
All right, dude, let's build this. Two brains are better than one. Fanduel GPP. This is where all the money gets won. And if it's okay with you, can I pick first?
Yeah.
Power forward, $8,800, Julius Randle.
Okay.
Again, I spend the money, you save us the money. That always works for me.
Yeah, it does work usually. Let's see. I'll take a Milwaukee Buck. Jordan Nwora, 5,400.
I forgot. See, it's my own fault. I was supposed to say You can take anybody but a buck, but I love the Jordan Nwora pick. Now, which position?
Small forward.
Okay, because I just plugged him in accidentally at power forward, and now I'm moving him over to small. I want to go with center Jarrett Allen, 8,200.
Center or power forward? We can put him at either.
I'd prefer center if you don't mind.
Okay.
And there's a reason behind that. Well, do you think Robin Lopez is the play today? 3,800.
I think we need to find out what's going to happen with that game, as far as Griffin and Claxton and those guys too.
Because I really do like Robin Lopez if that's the case. I'm not wanting to mess around with Sandro and Cousins today like yesterday. Mamu got it done, but why do splits? We don't need to, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's another center that was just jumping off the board for you.
No, that's true. You do have that split with Griffin and Claxton.
Let's do this. And again, I'm jumping picks on you, so you can pick 2 in a row. See, I don't know if Rolo can play. He played 33 minutes last night. I think I'm just gonna try to be smart here, and I'm gonna stick with my pick here and go Jarrett Allen at center.
Okay.
All
right. Yep.
So you got the next one then.
Franz Wagner at 6,000 at shooting guard.
Yeah, I love that play. I really do love that play. He's going to be chalky, but you got to eat chalk. Don't be afraid to eat chalk, folks.
Right.
Don't be afraid. There's no reason. I'm going to take SGA at point.
Okay.
It gives us 5,700 a guy for 4 more guys.
You still like Okiki?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'll take him at power forward.
Yeah, I think he's at 4,200.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Cole Anthony doesn't play, it's going to be lights out for sure. Trey Mann, just joking. Or no, I mean not Trey Mann, but
Terrence Mann.
Terrence Mann, just a joke.
Yeah.
You know what? It's going to be different, but I'm doing it. I just don't know. Yeah, I'm going to do it. We can find it. Don't we have to go back? I mean, I feel like we have to go back to Drew Holiday.
Okay.
I mean, if he
I'm not going to argue with that. So
if he goes back from 36 shots to 26 shots, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because he's going to get assists. I mean, it's not a smash play like it was last night, but I think it's necessary.
Yeah, if Middleton plays, he'll definitely get some assists. He kind of missed that last night.
Yep.
Only had five assists.
Exactly. Well, you can't when you shoot the ball 36 times. I mean, it's only so many possessions.
Yeah.
So now we've got to be a little bit cost effective. Can I move Drew to point and we just there's no other point guards that are cheap enough.
Yeah.
That are any good. So I'll move him over to point, and that gives us 2 shooting guards, 9,300 total.
Who else did you have a small forward? Wagner?
Yes, unless you want to move him.
No, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we need 2 shooting guards for a total cost there of 93, which there's a lot of guys here. I'll give you some options in my opinion. You tell me. You can pick them both even, but I'll tell you the guys I think that are playable in this group. I think you can look at as a long shot, Moses Moody, but I'm not going to play him. But this is a GPP. But I think Damien Lee is probably a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's the guy I was going to pick.
And that would leave us with 54, which we could go right to a guy. Either guy I love here, and I'm totally torn. I love them both. Cam Thomas or David Duke. Same team, but Duke is questionable. So I think I'm going to go with Cam Thomas.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Yeah, he'll definitely be lower owned than David Duke if he plays. So that's for a GPP, that makes a lot of sense.
The night I had Duke, he was 5 times less owned than Cam Thomas. But now it's probably going to switch. But
yeah.
All right, so that uses every penny. That'd be SGA, Holiday, Lee, Thomas, Nawara, Wagner, Randall, Okeke, and Allen. Very,
Did you
very
see the news that just came in?
What's
not
that?
Not too major, but Miles McBride is ruled out with COVID.
There you go.
Yeah.
Even those guys are going down now.
Yeah, it's going to be all day long. So our lineup will probably have 4 guys out by the time lock hits. But
exactly. So if you're watching this and you're not a member, definitely join. Look in on Twitter. We'll be posting an updated Two Brains lineup before lock. So we'll get that connected for you. On Discord, we'll be in there all day correcting stuff and getting things ready for you and making any changes that we need to make. So that is it, my friend. I think we've got everything covered. We went over all 6 games pretty in depth, built that lineup for everybody, and we stayed under our hour that we were trying to do it all in. So we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Any final words on your side?
No, not really. I think we hit this slate pretty well, given all the uncertainty that we had to deal with. I think that we'll once again have an edge on our competition because we're not just plugging stuff into an optimizer, and we're hand building our lineups and we're watching the games, so we're doing all the extra work for our members for sure.
No doubt. If you want to join, go to dfscoachtalk.com. We have 12-day pass for the 12 days of Christmas. It's $12. Cannot beat it. Get a couple of weeks, all our basketball, all our football, everything we have to offer. We give a coach's clipboard, which is 5 highlighted guys and several other guys to finish your DK lineup out of. That's what we've been smashing the last couple of days. Then we give full Fanduel hybrid lineup, cash lineup, if you will, and a full GPP lineup. We do the same thing for Yahoo. Again, we've got a good 6-game slate here, which is a good number. Hopefully they all play, and we go from there. If there's changes, we'll update, or if you're in our Discord or want to become available, we'll get you in Discord as soon as you sign up, and we'll be good to go. Tomorrow, I'll be back for an odd Sunday heavy slate of 9 games, which doesn't happen very often. So I'll be out in there first thing in the morning, try to beat all the football stuff out there so people can get their basketball things built and in the background for the day. So that is it, my friend. Any final words?
I was just going to say, as you were saying that, there's probably going to be more NBA games tomorrow than NFL games with all the postponements and moving around. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and if you need any of that news, keep listening in. Crash, Omaha Joe, and Andrew, they're all over this NFL news, what I'm trying to say. So, we'll keep you up to speed on any of those movements. And again, we'll have a big edge there too, is having to adjust all that stuff. So looking forward to it, man. Appreciate our Saturdays, and hopefully a bunch of us split a big takedown with that Fanduel GPP lineup.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Well, appreciate everybody listening in. Really enjoyed the time that we get to spend with you, and hopefully this helps you rake it in. We want to see all of our folks win. Shoot us a note here on YouTube or in Twitter. Show us some of those wins so we can show you some love. We'd love to do that. All right. For Josh Crash Davis, I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach. We'll catch you again tomorrow when we look to crush it in NBA DFS.